Welcome to Nerdy and Flirty, a podcast designed to help you create a life that you love. It's nerdy with science-backed information, and it's flirty. It's fun, it's quick, it's straight to the point. My name is Cass, and thank you so much for listening to today's episode because we have a great guest on the podcast today. She is an award-winning, record-breaking D1 tennis star from Rutgers University, and we are breaking down everything it means to live your life like an athlete. We're talking about what it was like traveling all the time, her pre-match routines, the intense training schedules. We are breaking it down, and we're even going into how she continues to live her life like an athlete now. We're talking about discipline, confidence, comparing yourself, and so much more. I am so excited to welcome to the podcast Tess Fisher.
Hey Cass, thanks for having me on the episode.
I am so happy to have you on the podcast because you are literally a super athlete. You are one of the most disciplined, but also humble and confident people that I know, and I really want to break that down for people. But let's go all the way back to when you were a kid. How did you get into sports, and what was that process like?
I started getting into sports, I guess, at a really young age. I was 3 years old and obviously wasn't playing tennis intensely then, but at our old house, my dad would toss me a tennis ball and he thought I had good hand-eye coordination, and a lot of tennis is hand-eye coordination. So he would just toss me balls and I would hit it. It was actually outside at our basketball court that we had, not even a tennis court.
Why tennis?
I think the biggest reason, well, at that age, obviously I couldn't really have an opinion or anything, but he just thought I had good hand-eye. And then again, on my mom's side of the family, it's a pretty big tennis family. People played in high school, a little bit of college.
So tell us about the training. Are you in training camps? Are you in summer camps? Are you on a team practicing? What is that like? Because I'm sure there's been a lot of time and practice put in to get you to where you are now.
Yeah, so in Vineland, there's not much around for tennis. There's a lot of other sports that you can go to training very easily for, but for tennis, it's a lot different. It's not as big in South Jersey, so we had to travel pretty far to go to tennis, which started in West Deptford, which I would go to a couple clinics a week, do some privates, and then as I got better and better, I then moved to the Princeton area and would travel from Vineland to Princeton to work with my coach there. But the biggest thing is, I always loved what I was doing. It was never like, you have to go to tennis practice today. It was always, do you want to go today? Do you want to take a break? That type of thing. And I think that's a really big reason that I love the sport throughout high school and college even, because a lot of people burn out by college. That's supposed to be like the best time for your sport, I feel like, because you get to the top of it there. And by having parents that were never pushy about it, always wanting me to do other things like go to that birthday party, go to the Sweet 16, that was really helpful, and that just made me love the sport even more.
Yeah, that's so important because I feel like so many people I know, their parents put them in sports because their parents wanted them to do it. And even though your family enjoyed tennis, they didn't force you to do it, it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. Like, my dad was definitely way more into tennis than my mom. She was more of the one that was like, you are taking a month off after your high school season and you're doing everything a normal kid does, blah, blah, blah.
Aww.
And my dad obviously agreed with her, but the balance that they had really reflected on my love for the sport. So yeah, very grateful for that.
Do you feel like you missed out on anything in your life because of tennis?
The things that I missed out on were things that I actually chose to miss out on. So if I did miss a Sweet 16 or whatever it was growing up, it was definitely my choice. No, I don't really feel like I did at all.
Yeah, that's really good then. That's important.
Yeah.
So let's move into your college tennis career. Did you always know you wanted to play at the college level? How did you become D1? Give us the inside scoop to all of that behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, so I think growing up as a tennis player, and this, I don't know about other sports, but probably similar, your goal is to get to college and play. Like, that is just the ultimate goal. And even in like ratings and rankings from tournaments that you play, it all goes towards college. Like, that's when the college coaches start looking at you. They look at your ratings, your rankings. So I feel like a big purpose in a lot of my tournaments and training was do the best you can, get the best ranking you possibly can to be looked at by schools and want to play in college, because there's nothing like it. There really isn't. And then going on to the college training and schedule, it's definitely an adjustment in the beginning, but as a tennis player and any athlete, you're pretty much on a schedule getting there anyway, because if you want to do the best you can, you need to be very disciplined, determined, and just really want it from inside and within. Like, no one else can want it for you. That's something that, like, you see a lot of people that burn out. It's not their dream, it's their parents. But the people that don't, it's really your own dream. And that's something that I feel like I've always had. It's always been my dream to play in college. So everything I did was kind of to play in college.
So you would say the rigid schedule, like you were already on that before college, so it wasn't as big of a deal when you got there?
Yeah, it was definitely a transition because you're on your own in college. You have classes that you're finally getting a ton of work. I mean, we went to the same high school together. We got work and stuff, but when you get to college, it's obviously a little bit different. The other thing is it's like traveling. Like you have to miss classes some days and you have to make that up. You don't just get excused for that. You have to
Oh, they don't excuse you if you have
like you
tennis?
can miss the class, that's excused, but obviously the work and stuff, so you kind of have to make sure you're on it. You can't fall back. If you fall back, then it's just really stressful. So, but I think having a tough schedule like that is kind of what makes me in a way who I am, because even now, like post-college and everything, I really like a routine and a schedule, and just if I'm not on one, I feel so out of whack. College was a big reason for helping with that.
So you played in the Big Ten and you graduated from Rutgers. Did you want to go to Rutgers? Did you get recruited? Like, how does that part work? Is it a mutual, you both want to go there and they want you? Or like, how does that work?
Okay, so this is a kind of a funny story. When you turn, I think it's a junior in high school, coaches are finally allowed to reach out to you because there's like strict rules. Like they can't, until you're a junior or some age, like they can't reach out to you and you can't really talk to them. I mean, maybe you can send them a letter or something, but they can't talk back to you. So then junior year in high school, there's like a day that happens. All of a sudden, like their coaches can reach out to you. You can talk to them. The Rutgers coach reached out to me. We were in touch and I was just like, no, I'm not going to Rutgers. Like it's close to home. That's what I was thinking in the back of my mind. I want to go far away. I want to go down south where it's warm. I want to be able to play tennis outdoors all year round. And so I talked to other schools as well. But the funniest part of it is I had the best connection like over the phone with the coach that I had. I went on one visit there before I took other visits. Immediately, I knew it was the place. Like I didn't talk to one other coach after that. I didn't go to another school to visit after that. And I committed really early. Like a lot of college athletes, like they'll wait a little bit because they want to just see like maybe you can get offered more money, whatever it is, full scholarship, whatever. But I don't know. When I stepped foot on Rutgers campus, I met the coaches in person. I was like, this is my home.
You just had that feeling.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet your teammates before, or like how is that team atmosphere?
Yeah, so that's like a big question you always ask every coach. It's like, how's the atmosphere on the team? That type of thing. And of course they're like, oh, it's great, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like every school says that, but you don't really know. But when I got to Rutgers, I knew a couple girls before. One girl I grew up with doing tournaments, so like, and she's awesome. So I was like, okay, that's a good thing. And she would always tell me awesome things about it. And I could just tell like the coach was super real and like straight up with me. And you could just tell there was a really good team chemistry, bonding. And when I got there, it was 100% true.
How do you guys all get along? You guys spend so much time together. Is there drama? Like what's going on there?
We do spend so much time together on the team. Of course, there's little things that go on, but I think I'm really lucky. After hearing a lot of stories from other friends that went to other schools and just like what they have to deal with, especially like with the coaches or with the girls, like I was really lucky.
Aw. And you only could live with other athletes, right? Not necessarily tennis, but you had to live with athletes the whole time?
Freshman year, yes. So freshman year, you were with somebody that was an athlete, but not on the team. That was like the freshman year, I guess, type of thing they tried to do just because you're with them so much. Like it's good to be separate a little bit from your team. So I was with a volleyball player my freshman year from Russia. That was a really cool experience. And then my sophomore, junior, senior year, I was with another girl who was on the team.
Oh, that's really cool. So let's talk about traveling, because I'm really curious to know, how are you managing traveling while still being a student, still being an athlete? Are you doing schoolwork on the bus, on the plane? I can imagine it's pretty intense to be on the road all the time.
Yeah, being on the road all the time can be brutal, especially tennis is like different from a sport like football or basketball where they only go to play one game. When we travel, you play 2 schools. So you're automatically in a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of situation, leaving Thursday night a lot of the times. And
wow, wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's pretty intense there. So of course you bring your work, you do it when you can. It's hard to do in the car. I think myself and maybe only a couple others would ever do work in the car because others would get like sick, car sick and that type of thing. Also in the hotel, like before bed you would do it, but like the coaches, they give you a bedtime kind of things because they don't want you up late before matches. You figure it out and then you get a day off when you return. So that day off, which never really feels like a day off, is just grinding on schoolwork, doing laundry, getting ready for the start of the week then.
Wow. So you're staying in hotels the whole time. What are you eating? hotel food?
Well, we go out to eat, which is awesome. We would go out all the time. You would get dinners and then lunches, and then the hotels we'd have breakfast there. So that was cool. Like your typical eggs, sausage. We stayed healthy.
Like, would your coaches ever tell you, like, you have to eat a salad or like chicken or?
Not like that, but it would be, you're not getting like dessert basically, because that's not what you should have before a match, obviously the night before. And just like anything like super fried, we just wouldn't typically do.
That makes a lot of sense since you're competing at such a high level. As an athlete, especially at a school like Rutgers, which is a Big Ten school, a lot of resources. What resources do you have available to you as an athlete? Like, are you seeing a nutrition coach? Are you seeing a trainer regularly? Because there's obviously so much more to tennis than just on the match or on the court playing tennis.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the coolest thing about going to college to play a sport that you love is you have so many resources. I didn't even know about all of these resources that we would get until I really got there. And yeah, you get a nutritionist. Like we'd have nutrition meetings, sometimes weekly, monthly, and you can go to them at any point that you want to, which was really cool. Like you would just shoot them a text or email and they get back to you and you can have a private meeting with them. But a lot of times if you didn't do a private meeting, then the coach would just have someone come in and talk to you. Another really cool resource was the trainers there, like who did physical therapy, that type of thing. So any injury or ailment that you had, you could just go at any point of the day. They would get you in. They would do ice, stim machine, stretch, all that good stuff. And that was really helpful. And then we had another good resource, which was being like the weight room. The weight room there was unbelievable. And
I bet.
Yeah, it was really cool to be in there. And now when I reflect on it even more, I'm like, wow, that was so cool that we had like an opportunity to be in like almost like a state-of-the-art weight room. Like,
is it athletes only in there?
Yeah, athletes only. There's so many racks, so many things. But what was super cool about our trainer there is she really focused on like tennis players. Like she made workouts to help tennis players. Like obviously you can work out and do any type of basic training that could be standard for any athlete. But for tennis and other sports, you do need to focus on certain things.
Oh, yeah.
And she really put effort into doing research and looking up different things to make sure it was helping us on the court.
Like that sport-specific training.
Yeah.
How often did you see her? Was it always her? Like, are you doing group training, individual training, just on your own? How does all that training work off season, during season?
Yeah, so that was a team thing. And the tennis team compared to any other team, it's so small. Like the years I was there was probably 8 to 9 girls on a team, which is not many. So you can go in as a team and then she'll have the workout up on the TV and we run through it as a group. Like she'll go over it and then we go right into it. What's really cool is it's not like you need to be there for 2 hours. Like we were in and out within 45 minutes of actually training. And that was normally twice a week after we would do the tennis part.
Okay. How did you deal with recovery and stuff? Because it sounds like you're doing a lot and then we're not even getting into everything outside of tennis, like your social life and everything like that. Like you still want to be a normal college kid. So how are you dealing with recovery and sleep and taking care of your body, reducing injury, all of that stuff?
Yeah, so recovery is really important. Like you're always going to be tired in college, athlete or not. You kind of need to take that upon yourself though to put in effort to recover, get the proper sleep. And obviously you're not always going to get the proper sleep, but you can do other things too. Like if you're going to eat like crap one day and all of a sudden like you play like crap the next and then you feel awful, like there's a reason that's happening. So that's like one of the biggest things going from like high school living at home to college on your own. You need to take it into your own hands. Like your parents can't just be making you dinner every night. Like you might have to go to the dining hall, but you're going to choose hopefully a healthier option like weeks up to a tournament. Another really cool thing that was awesome is that our senior year, we got these like heart rate monitors, which were in the moment, they were a pain in the butt just because like we'd have to wake up and send our heart rate as soon as we woke up and because it needed to be between a certain range. And if it wasn't, it's like you didn't sleep enough, maybe you're sick, this, that, which was good for them to like figure out what was going on. But like looking back at it, it is a really cool concept. And then when you're working out, you can tell, are you really exerting all of your energy or maybe not so much, you know?
That's really cool. What about the social part? I'm dying to know. How did you maintain a social life while being an athlete?
If you're a college athlete, it's possible to have a social life.
Oh, go on.
Not as much, maybe as not an athlete, but you still can. Like there are times where there's off season, which in tennis, again, it's one of those sports where there's really not a full season of off season. Like you play in the fall your off season's in November, and then January's full season.
Oh.
So you get like a month of off season, and that's kind of when we would really focus on recovery, but also have fun. Like on the weekends, we would get together as a team, have some parties, do that type of thing, obviously responsibly and safe, but you need to live a little bit in college. So we were able to get that experience too.
Did you like going to a big school? Because Rutgers is huge compared to where I went, and I don't know if I could have gone to a big school.
If I didn't come from Vineland High School, probably not. I know Rutgers is like 10 times bigger than Vineland, but I came from an elementary school, 1st to 8th grade, that was so small, like 18 kids in a class. You knew them head to toe, front to back, like everything. And I was craving like going to a bigger school, being in a different atmosphere. So going to Vineland was so much bigger. What did we have? Like 700 in our graduating class?
It was like 800 some.
Yeah, we had a ton in our graduating class, and I love that environment. And I was like, why wouldn't I like an even bigger environment? Knowing that Rutgers had that like spirit and everything, because when there's a huge school, I feel like team spirit in sports and other things is just so big.
That's so true.
That was like something that really got me excited. And just knowing that I would be close to home, because I always dreamed of going far away. But then when I realized it, I was like, why do I want to go far away when, one, I love my family to death.
Mm-hmm.
2, my dad has been my coach since I was literally 3 years old. He would never be able to come watch me play ever if I went somewhere far. But by going to Rutgers, like, he did not miss one match ever.
Aww, yeah, that's so true. And you don't think about that either.
You don't, yeah.
So many people want to just move away. I mean, I moved away, and it's hard to see your family, let alone when you're playing all these matches and you want your dad there and your mom, but your dad who coached you. And plus with the whole team spirit thing, like, I don't know what that was like. I loved my college, but it was so small that we didn't really have like big sports teams. We didn't have a football team, so we didn't go to football games, which I feel like that brings a school together. We went to the basketball games. Our basketball team was pretty good, but it was just like way smaller. It was also D2 or D3. I'm not even sure. So did people like come to your tennis matches, or does it not work like that?
Yeah, so tennis is definitely not as big of a sport, even in the Big Ten, like in terms of getting an audience. Football and basketball definitely got the audience, but it was really cool as an athlete, like being able to go to these sports, especially like when our coach would be recruiting. So like they'd bring maybe juniors or seniors from high school that would come stay with us overnight to see if they liked the experience. That's like what I never got to experience because I committed so early to Rutgers. Like I didn't go anywhere for, you get like a night over, like at a couple like there's rules, but you get a certain amount. And so it'd be really cool getting to get the recruits and then take them to either a basketball or football game.
So
that
they
was
can see
so
it.
fun. Yeah, you go into the student section and the crowd's just crazy. Like it's so much fun. Even if you're getting like, if they're getting killed, like it's just still really fun.
Yeah, for them to see the school spirit and stuff.
Yeah.
And like even at my college, it was a small school, but we did that. I hosted a bunch of different students. It was part of my scholarship program. I had to host like these high schoolers. They would come, they would see it for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
We would take them to like the best things you could do. And like it was annoying sometimes because you have these kids staying in your little shoebox size room. But it was also so cool for them to see because like they get to see the college and what it's actually like.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I did that and I loved it, and that's what made me go to my school. So
yeah, and you get to show off your school while you're at it.
yeah, and it builds that pride too. Like you're like, oh, come to my school because it's awesome. That's so fun. That's one thing that I like am curious about, if I would have liked a big school like that, just because of the spirit, like painting your face and wearing all those colored clothes.
Oh, you
and,
would
like,
get so into that, Cass. You would really go.
and there was a
that.
dance team, right? Like a cheer team.
Oh yeah. Oh, you could have been on that.
Yeah, at the football games, that would have been fun. But my school was a little bit different because we actually had the Dolphins, the NFL team, train at our campus. So we got free season tickets for the whole season while we were there.
Oh,
to every
awesome.
home game. So that was cool. I did
That's
that a few times. Yeah, and the school would host like a tailgate and stuff like that. So I guess we got it a little bit, but there's nothing like college football compared to like NFL football, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but also I'm not a big football person, so it doesn't really matter. So tell me your pre-match routine, because we were talking one time and you said you have this song that you used to play and all this stuff. And I just need to know, like, when you have a match, you wake up, what are you doing? What are you saying to yourself? What are you listening to? Tell me it all.
Okay, so pre-match routine definitely changed when I got to college, but I'm going to take you back to before college because that routine was my routine. Before every match, I would always have a banana 30 minutes before. And I'll tell you what, in a match, I never got a cramp. Ever. Like, I never cramped up. anything like that. Thank you, Dad, for giving me or forcing a banana down me 30 minutes before, even though I hated bananas like for 10 years, I feel like. But it definitely helped. So I would really stay strict with that. Banana 30 minutes before. I would always do a dynamic warm-up and like some type of sprint or jump rope to get my heart going like 10 minutes before on court, because there's nothing worse than going on court just flat. Like if I have a heart rate going, I'm going to play my best tennis. I knew that always, and my dad did too, so that was always something I did. And something a little different that not so many people probably do is I would always throw a football with my dad.
Oh.
And that was to warm up my arm. That was always a lot of fun and something I looked forward to. So that was like one of the best parts. And then in the car, I would always listen to this song, Let It Rock. You know, it's like, because when I arrive. You know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
Let it rock. That's what they say, let it rock. Let it rock.
I hope that's what it's called, by like Kevin Rudolph or something. Old song, but it got me fired up. That was kind of my routine there. But then when you get to college, it's different. Like you can't just tend to your own needs. Like there's a team and there's coaches that tell you what to do, which that's normal. That's your coach. You listen to them. Our routine in college, we'd always go on the court, practice actual tennis like 30 minutes before for like 30 minutes. But before that, we'd do our dynamic routine, practice tennis, do anything little that we wanted to work on maybe, and then do some doubles points, because in college you always started with doubles and then you did your singles match after. Something that was completely different for me was doing that transition from being young and in high school to college. I definitely didn't put as much time on the court as I did in college. And I don't know, I don't see it in a good way or a bad way, but it's definitely like a big change. Like we're practicing for 2 to 2.5 hours a day, and then we have fitness after that. Where at home, I was doing probably like an hour of extremely intense training and then 40 minutes in the gym, and I knew I was good. So it's definitely a transition, but it was good.
That's really, really cool. How do you stay confident? Because you've played against some of the top athletes. Like obviously once you make it to D1 and you're up there, especially in the Big Ten, everyone you play against has been good since they were young as well, I assume. So how do you stay confident, like seeing these other people, not getting intimidated by your competition?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Cass. So I would say the biggest thing, I know I keep going backwards a little bit, but when I first started doing tournaments and stuff, I was literally like, I would get off the court and my parents would be like, you look like a deer in headlights out there. Like I just wouldn't speak really. Like I was very shy, and if you don't know me, I am a really shy person at first.
Which I find so hard to believe.
No, I am though. I am very shy, little awkward, but that's okay. But once you get to know me, I open up, I'm a goofball, whatever. Then like transitioning into high school and then eventually college, where you're gonna win, you're gonna lose. That's just what it comes down to. When I realized who cares if you win or lose, that's when I felt most confident. Like going into the court, going into my match or whatever it was, I knew doesn't matter if you win or lose, lay it all out there. And that really helped with my confidence, because I feel like you lose confidence when you just focus all the time on, I have to win this, I have to do this, that. It's really hard to not be confident then. But to stay confident, I always went out there just saying, who cares if you win or lose? Play your game, do it right, and you're good.
And you probably did better after that, right?
Definitely. And something that really helps with confidence, especially in college, is you're with a team. Tennis is so individualized before getting to college. That's a huge reason I played high school tennis. Some college athletes don't, because they want to work on their rating a lot more to go to a really, really good school and whatever. But my goal was, I'm going to play on the team, because this is the most fun you're ever going to have, is when you have your team cheering you on. You get to cheer on them. All of your points add up to a full win then. And I feel like in college, that was really helpful. Like it gets loud. Tennis is not a loud sport, but in college it gets really loud and you get fired up, and having teammates that really fire you up, cheer you on, and you doing that back and just reciprocating that, I feel like that made a really big difference in my confidence too. And of course, if you win a really good match or something, that does help too. But just going out there and just knowing you laid it all out there and doing the best you can and playing your game and not kind of playing theirs or doing what they want you to do, like your opponent, really helps a lot.
Yeah. So you're saying that you could have potentially had a better rating if you didn't play on your high school team. Why did you decide to play on your high school team, and were your parents okay with that?
So I really wanted to play, and my parents were like, even though maybe you'll get a better rating if you don't play, like this will be so good for you. And I'm really glad I did that because that was some of the most fun I've ever had.
Yeah, and you still got recruited. Like your talent came through and so many articles were written about you in high school and so many things. Like you're just that girl.
Well, that's the thing. It comes to, no, not that girl. But that's the thing. It comes down to, again, how bad do you want it? Like, if you want it badly, you'll make it happen. You can take a year off. I was injured for a year at a really important time in my life, like right before high school, that I didn't pick up a racket for a whole entire year. Do you know how hungry that made me to want to come back and play? And just putting in the effort on your end is so big. And if you do that, it doesn't matter. Like you can train an hour a day or 4 hours a day. It comes down to how bad you want it.
Ooh, that's really good advice. And going along with that, if someone's listening right now and they're in high school and they want to be a D1 athlete in any sport or they just want to pursue athletics, what advice would you tell them?
Okay, the first piece of advice I would say, 100% put your schoolwork first. It sounds so like corny or like, yeah, I'm going to do that, obviously. Put it first. You never know what's going to happen. Like you might get injured. You might this, that, whatever. Putting your schoolwork first is really important. And then obviously your sport can come next, but just make sure you're loving it. If there's ever a point you're not loving it or you're burnt out, it's not meant to be. And you're going to end up resenting the sport, maybe your family, maybe others. Like it's really not worth it. So as long as you have that drive and passion, I say go for it.
Did you ever stop loving it or you always just loved it and had the biggest passion?
I've always loved it. And there was never a time I was like, I am so ready to be done. Well, actually, that's a bit of a lie. There was a time. I would say since I went to college during the COVID year, we were able to get an extra year of eligibility if we wanted it. So I could have stayed for a fifth year, which I really planned on doing. But then by the end of senior year, I was just feeling a little bit burnt out, and I knew that if I had to do all of the intense training again, maybe I would then start to not like it. And I knew once I got that feeling, it wasn't meant to be to stay a fifth year. But I do feel like college sports are 4 years for a reason. Mm-hmm. Like you put everything into it. And if I wasn't able to put everything possible into that fifth year for the team, the coaches, myself, that wouldn't be fair to anybody or myself. So that was kind of a time there. But now, like, just I teach a lot of tennis now and I love it still. Like, that's what gives me the drive and like the love for the sport still, is knowing that I can still play tennis and coach people, try to get them to the next level, that type of thing. So that's kind of like a way I'm still involved in tennis, just a different way of seeing it.
And sharing your passion. Because who knows, like, if you did do that fifth year and you're having that burnout feeling, and even though you're saying it wasn't like super intense burnout, but it could have gotten there, that's usually when like injuries happen, overtraining happens, like all that stuff that we see with a lot of athletes, which pretty much ends their athletic career. Like it's really sad to see, but that's usually when it all happens.
Yeah.
When they're pushing past that burnout.
No, that is so true. Yeah.
So you're one of the most disciplined people that I know from all your workouts and everything you do. What is your secret and how do you stay disciplined? Because you've been disciplined since I met you.
Okay, so yeah, staying disciplined, it's not easy. A big part of being disciplined, especially when you're growing up, you're in high school, you're in college, a huge thing is goal setting. Like, it doesn't matter what the goal is, but you need something to work towards. If you don't have something to work towards, you're going to be like, why the heck am I doing this? Why am I out here right now? This is boring, this is that, whatever. I think a huge way to stay disciplined is setting goals. I always had a ton of goals, some extremely achievable, some extremely not so achievable, but that's what you have to do to keep it fun, to keep yourself going. I feel like if you don't have any goals set, you're just like, what am I doing out here? And another big way to stay disciplined, I feel like, is mixing up your routines also. Like, I'm really, as you know, into routine now, especially post-college. I feel like I'm even more into routine than college, which is kind of hard to imagine. But I'm a routine type of girl, I guess. Mixing up like different workouts. It doesn't even have to be physical. Like doing something like listening to a podcast, like shout out Nerdy and Flirty. But doing something like that is so huge in helping your mental, and things like that is huge. It's better than just every day I go to the gym 5 days a week, or I have to run on the treadmill 5 days a week, or I have to hit tennis 5 days a week. Like doing other things like pickleball or yoga, things like that really help me stay disciplined because it just makes it exciting and fun. And when it's exciting and fun, you're gonna want to keep doing it.
What are your routines right now? Tell us everything from your morning routine, wake up, what are you doing? Because you do a lot of stuff in the morning.
Yeah, my morning routine's kind of hefty and I don't like when I'm out of it. But that's another thing I do need to learn. It's okay to sometimes not fully follow that routine. And that's something I have a hard time with that I'm trying to work on. But going back to the routine, I get up, I immediately go to the bathroom, do my tongue scrape. Shout out to Cass for that one because that has been like the best invention ever. I do the tongue scrape, I make my bed, I make breakfast, which I pretty much have the same breakfast every morning. Talk about routine.
What's your breakfast?
Yep, I have 2 eggs sunny side up, 3 turkey sausage links, and a smoothie.
Like a protein smoothie?
With protein powder. Little hefty breakfast, but that's what you need to get your day going. From there, I normally, if I'm in school teaching, like I go to school then, and then I do the gym after, that type of thing. But we're in summer now, so kind of all over the place. I'll either go to the gym, teach tennis lessons, go to Delsey, the high school tennis team that I'm helping out with this year. It just depends on the day, but it always follows with something, I guess, active after breakfast. And then I'll have lunch, which is pretty much the same every single day. I have a salad with tuna in it. And I always have like the protein bar that you suggested me to get. You know, the ones with the ingredients on the front.
Yeah.
3 ingredients. They're great. Little pricey, but worth it. And then from there, I do another type of workout. I'm either going to go on a run, a walk, whatever it might be, maybe play pickleball. And then I normally have dinner, which nothing really changing from there. Recently, I've been doing bunless burger bowls.
Ooh.
And sometimes if I only drink half my protein shake in the morning, I'll do the other half after dinner. And that's pretty much my routine. I find some time to read, journal a little bit when I can. That's pretty much been my summer routine.
I love that. It's so in detail. That's like my favorite thing to hear. What if you only could pick one thing? Like, what's your non-negotiable? You need to do it every single day, without fail, non-negotiable.
Oh, I mean, I forgot about this, my purple tea.
Oh.
Shout out to purple tea. That stuff is unreal. It's like this product where you just pour it in your water, you stir it, and you sip it the whole day, and it's like natural, gives you energy. I don't miss a day with that. So,
isn't it like an herbal tea?
Yeah, it's an herbal tea, and it gives you good energy. It doesn't make me feel like jittery, like that Celsius type of drink thing. It's not like that. I feel like it's more natural, and I've noticed a huge difference. I don't know, is it the placebo, whatever it is, but I've noticed a huge difference, so I'm not going to give that up.
Yeah, so that's what matters.
So that's pretty much a non-negotiable for me, I would say.
How do you listen to your body when you know, like, you might be doing too much?
Just knowing, like, if I feel any little tweak coming on, it's really important for me to say, take a day of rest. Like, you need that day. It's not going to hurt any progress. I can say that a million times, but actually doing that is something that's really big. And that's something that I'm definitely going to focus more on now, because our bodies are young, but they're not the same as they were when we were 16, 17, 18, where we can just kind of mess around, not stretch, which is so important. Which I'm going to add a stretch routine into my routine soon. When I have any ache or ailment, that's really hard for me then, because something I love doing is being active. And when that can't happen, obviously that's hard, especially mentally. So paying the extra money to get a massage, like, that's what's worth it to do the things that I love.
Mm-hmm. I was just talking about that on this week's podcast about how your health, like, you only get one chance with your health, so you might as well invest in it. And that to me is worth it. Like, buying the good groceries is worth it. Spending money on fitness classes and massages, that's worth it compared to all the silly things we spend money on, like alcohol and going out and just dumb things, Amazon,
100%.
You spend that money so easily on Amazon, but you won't buy a fitness class because it's $20. Like, that doesn't make sense.
No, and that's something, sorry to go a little bit off topic here, but that's something I want to go into is food. In college, I ate decent, but not as clean as I definitely should have, which maybe I would have seen different results. But the way that I eat now is so different. And that was kind of a lifestyle choice that I wanted to make for myself, because when I eat like shit, I am dragging. Like, it is like, you just feel it. You feel bloated. You feel like crap. Changing my diet, which, going off of the grocery bill, it is so expensive, but something that I will now 100% spend all the money in the world on. Like, it is so worth it to eat clean. You just feel good. Results come. And it's more so for my mental, I think. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's so different. Like, it's crazy.
I can tell when I eat a lot of sugar and eat a lot of bad food, my mental state is so chaotic. I'm so moody. I get tired, like, immediately.
I agree 100%.
So I have one last question with you to close out the podcast episode, because we've had such a good conversation so far. If you could talk to little Tess, little you from when you were younger, and tell her one thing that would prepare her for where you are right now, what would you tell her?
I would say to myself, setbacks, stress, obstacles, whatever it is that might get in the way or seem like the most awful, earth-shattering thing in the world, is not. It's not at all. My mom once said, it's not a life. It's not breathing. Why are you so stressed about it then? And from there on out, I was able to relate that to so many things. You can relate that to your sport. You can relate that to different relationships. You can relate that to an injury. It's not a life. It's not breathing. That means, like, there wasn't a death that happened. Why are you taking it like a death just happened or something? Like, it's really not a big deal. And in the moment, yeah, it might feel like a big deal. Of course, think about it for a second, but then it's time to move on. How am I going to grow from this? How am I going to change? What am I going to do differently for the next time or whatever it is? Going by that is so important, because when something so awful happens to anybody, you're like, this is the end of the world, whatever. But is it really though? Like, did somebody die? No. Like, there's ways to combat it and go around it. And that's just something that I really think about a lot. And it could be the most minor thing in the world, and it could be a little more extreme. But that's kind of my way of thinking with things like that.
That is such good advice, because it takes that perspective out, and it's like, look at the bigger picture. This is not as big of a deal as you think it is. And even like some of the things that I thought were the biggest deal in the moment, I look back 3 months later and it's like, I haven't even thought about that, you know?
Yeah, and those things also that you think are like the biggest thing in the moment turn out to be the greatest blessings and lessons learned. And I think it is so cool. I mean, not cool, but like if something shitty happens to you or whatever it is, it's like something 10 times better down the road is about to come your way. And you just know that if you like think that way.
Absolutely. That's amazing. That's such good advice. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I think this is going to help a lot of people and inspire a lot of people. And I'm just so happy with how this turned out. Is there anything else you want to say and share?
Well, of course, a big shout out to Nerdy and Flirty. I love this podcast so much. Everybody needs to like, comment, listen to this shit all the time, because it really has helped me so much in so many aspects of my life. And I just love it so much. Thanks for having me on here, Cass.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening. Give it 5 stars and nothing less.
Nothing less.
And I will talk to you next week. Bye.